responsible for killing so many people was born there. These are second generation. Closing the borders at this stage, is it pointless? I don't know, probably. The liberal lefties out there. Oh, shut up, Boylan, you racist bastard. I'm not a bit racist. I have friends who are Muslims. When I say friends, acquaintances. I spoke to an acquaintance who was a Muslim recently. And I asked him how serious he was about his religion. He said he was quite serious about his religion, but he condemned what happened in these attacks. And I said, does God, your God, Allah, does he come before your mother and father and your children? And he said, yes. I said, you've lost my friendship. Away with you. Piss off. Anybody who puts a man in the sky ahead of their parents, their children, and innocent people deserves no respect. Listen again to the panic.
Come on. Come with me. Come with me. Move. Go. Come on, Amanda, you'll be all right.
Do you hear that child at the very end there? Crying. Worried. First text I get in when he started, and here we go. But Niall, not all Muslims are terrorists. Absolutely, I've said that a million times. I'm absolutely aware of that. But it only takes a minority. And I want you to have a listen to a little bit of audio. This is Bridget Gabrielle. She's an American conservative journalist and author, a political lecturer. And she was recently at a speak, she gave a talk. And a Muslim woman who was clearly a member of the Brotherhood, young girl, 19, decided to ask her a question in relation to Muslims and why Muslims are being blamed. And by the way, before anybody has a go at me, she says, no, I don't even know if this is a terrorist attack. It is a terrorist attack. ISIS have just claimed responsibility. Should look at the man's name, for God's sake. He's from Morocco, by the way. Morocco. So closing borders wouldn't have stopped this. He's from Morocco. But okay, she talks about the minority. And yes, American intelligence suggests that 10% of Muslims are fundamentalists. Let's say be conservative, and let's say it's even 5%. It only takes a minority. Listen to the question this young lady asked her. And this very learned woman, journalist and author, Bridget Gabrielle, is an amazing speaker. Listen to the answer she gave her.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace to you all. My name is Saba Ahmed. I'm a law student at American University. I am here to ask you a simple question. I know that we portray Islam and all Muslims as bad, but there's 1.8 billion Muslim followers of Islam. We have 8 million plus Muslim Americans in this country, and I don't see them represented here. But my question is, how can we fight an ideological war with weapons? How can we ever end this war? The jihadist ideology that you talk about, it's an ideology. How can you ever win this thing if you don't address it ideologically?
Great question. I am so glad you're here, and I am so glad you brought that up because it gives us an opportunity to answer. What I find so amazing is since the beginning of this panel, which we are here about Benghazi attack against our people, not one person mentioned Muslims. We are here against Islam, or we're launching war against Muslims. We are here to discuss how 4 Americans died and what our government is doing. We were not here to bash Muslims. You were the one who brought up the issue about most Muslims, not us. And since you brought it up, allow me to elaborate with my answer. There are 1.2 billion Muslims in the world today. Of course, not all of them are radicals. The majority of them are peaceful people. The radicals are estimated to be between 15 to 25%, according to all intelligence services around the world. That leaves 75% of them peaceful people. But when you look at 15 to 25% of the world Muslim population, you're looking at 180 million to 300 million people dedicated to the destruction of Western civilization. That is as big of the United States. So why should we worry about the radicals, 15 to 25%? Because it is the radicals that kill. Because it is the radicals that behead and massacre. When you look throughout history, when you look at all the lessons of history, most Germans were peaceful. Yet the Nazis drove the agenda. And as a result, 60 million people died. Almost 14 million in concentration camps. 6 million were Jews. The peaceful majority were irrelevant. When you look at Russia, most Russians were peaceful as well. Yet the Russians were able to kill 20 million people. The peaceful majority were irrelevant. When you look at China, for example, most Chinese were peaceful as well. Yet the Chinese were able to kill 70 million people. The peaceful majority were irrelevant. When you look at Japan prior to World War II, most Japanese were peaceful as well. Yet Japan was able to butcher its way across Southeast Asia, killing 12 million people, mostly killed with bayonets and shovels. The peaceful majority were irrelevant. On September 11th in the United States, we had 2.3 million Arab Muslims living in the United States. It took 19 hijackers, 19 radicals to bring America down to its knees, destroy the World Trade Center, attack the Pentagon, and kill almost 3,000 Americans that day. The peaceful majority were irrelevant. So for all our powers of reasons and us talking about moderate and peaceful Muslims, I'm glad you're here. But where are the others speaking out? And since you are the only Muslim representative, save your applause till the end. Thank you. Thank you. And since you're the only Muslim representative in here, you took the limelight instead of speaking about why our government, and I assume, are you an American? You're an American citizen. So as an American citizen, you sat in this room and instead of standing up and saying a question or asking something about our 4 Americans that died and what our government is doing to correct the problem, you stood there to make a point about peaceful, moderate Muslims. I wish you brought 10 with you to question about how we can hold our government responsible. It is time we take political correctness and throw it in the garbage where it belongs and stop calling it.
Well, there you go. It's time we take political correctness and throw it in the garbage where it belongs. And we're full of political correctness, even on the news. Every time these things happen, they're almost afraid to mention the word terrorist in case they get it wrong. We're allowed to get it wrong every now and again, but they're afraid to get it wrong because it's not politically correct to accuse Muslims of doing something or Islam of being responsible for something just in case it's not. But more times than not, it is responsible. And it is not the peaceful majority, because as she rightly said, Bridget Gabrielle, the peaceful majority are irrelevant. What's relevant is the 180 million that she talks about. The 180 million people who follow Islam, who are intent on killing innocent people in the name of their God in the sky. The rest of the Muslims are wonderful people, possibly. I don't know them all. So what do we do? Is it too late? Innocent people died tonight again. Again. These stories are becoming so common. 13 people dead, 50 injured, holidaymakers in Los Ramblas in Barcelona in Spain. Emergency services are advising people, by the way, to use social media, to contact friends. If your friends over there, don't use telephone system because it may go down. So many people are using it. What happened tonight is shocking. There is no doubt about it. If you've watched the videos which are going around online, I urge you not to share them. But do watch them. Watch innocent little children lying on the ground with their bones twisted and broken and blood coming from their head because this bastard decided that his God was more important than their lives. Text 53544. The question I want to ask you is, you can talk about closing borders all you like, but is it too late? Is it too late to do anything about this? Text 53544, or you can contact us on 1850 410 494. That's 1850 410 494. If you want to give us a call, call us now, 1850 410 494, or text 53544. Dermot, you're on Classic Hits. How you doing, Dermot?
No, good evening.
Good, Dermot. Well, it's not a good evening, really, is it?
No, it's not. And the first thing I'm going to say, we've spoken probably a dozen times over the last couple of years on all the different attacks that have gone on. And it's every time there's been a bit of pussyfooting around, and, you know, in case we offend this or offend that. But let this talk show tonight, for once and for all, not be pussyfooting around and say it as it fucking is. That the bottom line is, and as that lady said in that audio that you played there, forget about the people coming on going, well, Islam is a peaceful this, and in the scriptures it's written that we're a peaceful nation and we're a peaceful religion and all this bollocksology. Quite simply, it is total and utter bollocks. And as far as I can see, this government, something draconian has to be done. We can't really talk.
But we still have liberals in this government who are running around. Hang on, who are running around the Middle East looking for people to bring them home to Ireland.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if that's going to make a problem worse. I don't know if Germany made a problem worse by allowing 1.2 million people into the country, many of whom are Muslims. But I don't know. But because I do believe if we look at all the incidents that's happened over the last 2 years, most of it's homegrown. They're people who have been there for the last generation.
You know what? If I had my way...
I think it's too late.
30 years ago, 25 or 30 years ago here, there was very few Muslims in this country. There was absolutely no mosques. There was absolutely nothing going on in this country 30 years ago, back at the 1980s. Now you have all these people coming in and they're sprouting their religion and they're slapping up mosques like fucking snuff it away. They're going...
Look, Ireland in its constitution protects religion, and, you know, I've no problem with somebody being a Muslim as long as they don't set anybody else.
Well, look, so what's the point of the conversation? Because, as you say, this guy is from Africa. He's a Moroccan guy, okay? I don't know.
Yeah, he's Moroccan.
It'll all come out exactly what the crack is with this guy and previous guys in the UK and in Paris and the whole 9 yards. But the bottom line is, I do not want to sit on this fucking, to listen to this show tonight and have maybe Ibrahim or one of these guys come on spouting how fucking that this guy doesn't reflect on his religion and the whole lot. At the end of the day, they're all... whether they're peaceful or whether they're the guy that did this tonight, they're all fucking under the one umbrella of Islam, as far as I can see. And I don't want to hear somebody coming on going, well, absolutely, he's nothing to do with me. I'm a peaceful this, I'm a peaceful that. If I had my way, I would close every fucking mosque in this country. And I really mean this. I would say, if you want to practice, Ireland is a fucking Catholic country and has been a Catholic country since the fucking foundation of time of the Irish state. Or even before that, hundreds, thousands of years, it's been a Catholic state. And Islam and the Islamic religion should not be practiced in this country. You want to practice...
But hang on, there was many, many years ago, the Catholic religion was banned in this country, by the way.
Yeah, well, okay, fine. Well, let's call it. You would agree with me.
And if you go back 1,000 years, with the greatest respect, Dermot, if you go back 1,000 years, Christians or Catholics, you know, ran their way across Europe, slaughtering people as well.
Hang on a minute, but that's bullshit. Now we can't talk about 1,000 years ago. We're talking about 2017. We're talking about the last 10 years and into the future. What's happening on a regular basis? We're not to forget about what happened 1,000 years ago. But quite simply, something very seriously has to be done because the bottom line is these people are just arriving. Did you see the video of the raft arriving on the beach?
On the beach, I saw that. It's actually on our Facebook page.
And all the tourists lying on the beach, sun tanning themselves. And next minute, this fucking raft comes in.
And ironically enough, that was Spain.
Mental.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And they all got out of the raft and ran across the beach. And the police said, by the way, there was a statement made in relation to that video, which everybody's seen at this stage. The police didn't catch any of them.
Not one. Like, it is absolutely, it is law and order on a massive scale breaking down. Nothing is being done. Nothing can be done. I'm not saying nothing can be done. It can be done, but they're going to have to seriously look at the religion, not necessarily look at the people. They're going to have to look at the religion and the religion that these people preach. And as you said...
Well, the extremists that preach. Wahhabism, yes.
Look at the religion. You can't look at a particular person and say, okay, you might or you might not. But the fact is you have to look at what they're practicing. And if they're practicing a religion that is causing all these fucking problems... Well,
it's the individuals who are causing the problems. It's their interpretation of that religion. That's what the peaceful Muslim will tell you.
Here in a few minutes, and you spout on and...
Well, no, Ibrahim he's not coming. He's not coming on tonight anyway. But he's not available. But
you'll have people like that. They'll come on, they'll spout the religion, and in Scripture 516 on page fucking 500, it says this and it says that. I don't fucking know what it says in the Quran. I don't no interest. All I know is what I'm looking at on television.
Okay, well, stay there for a second. By the way, somebody says, "What's the name of the suspect?" His name is Magrahib Driss Akabar. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. He is the suspect. I believe there was two. They've already arrested one, and this guy is on the run at the moment. His name is Magrahibi Driss Akbar, and we actually have his picture up on the Facebook page. And this is the man, or one of the men, responsible for killing those innocent people tonight. Stay there, please, Dermot, if you can. Text 53544. Is it too late? So many texts coming in. So many people horrified by the videos, because there are videos going around on social media of the aftermath. And again, I would suggest people don't share them. Somebody says, Niall, is it not on your Facebook page? No, we didn't put it on our Facebook page. I know the Daily Mirror have one of the videos up, but they have pixelated it somewhat. But it was a horrible video to watch it. I did watch it. I'm not going to deny that I didn't watch it myself, and Lena watched it. And to see these children lying on the ground with their bodies twisted, families, just whole families. There was one mother, she was clearly holding her child when the truck hit her. And the child is right beside her, all twisted. The two of them are clearly dead. It's a horrible, horrible scene to see. Sean, you're on Classic Hits. How you doing, Sean?
Hi, now.
Sean, I mean, when is this going to... Well, it's not going to stop, is it?
No. I was telling your researcher, though, that I was waiting to hear about the earlier vehicular terrorist attack this week, the one that happened last Saturday in Charlottesville. I have no need to see what went on in Barcelona today. I saw the footage, which was bad enough from what happened when a woman died in Charlottesville. Closing the borders at this point is pointless, but the first question I have to ask is, where the fuck are the Spanish police? Why were they not monitoring this man's mosque? He's obviously some fucking nutjob that goes to mosque regularly, and they completely dropped the ball on this. I mean, they go after the mafia, they go after this shit during the Cold War, they went after the KGB. Why the hell can't they go after this fundamentalism?
Sean.
This fundamentalism of any fucking stripe is...
Sean, you're an intelligent man, Sean. They cannot watch, they have not got the manpower to watch every human being 24 hours a day. And quite simply, as
well,
they
then
said,
we have to spend more money on it. Well, then we have to spend more money watching them. We have to spend more money watching them. We have to get it so it gets to the point where they go to their own people. Damn it, we're not with them. Just like people are losing friends on Facebook over this in America because they're saying, oh, you have to see both sides of the issue. No, fuck both sides of the issue.
I agree with you.
Anybody who would kill somebody else for their fucking ideology is a piece of shit. I don't need to know them. I don't need to understand them. They just need to be defeated.
Would you accept? The argument put from the other side is you cannot condemn a whole ideology and a whole religion based on the actions of 5 or 10%.
I condemn all religion. I think religion is a blight on humanity. It's a leftover, archaic, stupid system for people who are struggling to understand the world.
To be fair, Niall, I said at the start of this, stop pussyfooting around tonight.
But Dermot, you're religious.
You pussyfoot around every fucking time.
I'm not pussyfooting. Well, hang on, I'm not pussyfooting. But the point I'm trying to make is, Dermot, you're religious.
I'm not pussyfooting either.
I'm not religious. I don't give a shit about religion. All right, and I'm like Sean. I don't give a fuck about religion. I'm like you. But don't start pussyfooting around. Okay, I know you have to make the argument with the other side. But if you offend the 10% that are radical bastards, if you condemn them, you're putting the other 90% into the same pot. But at the end of the day, what's the answer? What is the answer?
But Dermot, I'm not pussyfooting. These guys, and I've said it before, they're bastards. Absolutely. And I'm not pussy. I'm just as shocked as everybody else. You do know I have obligations under the broadcasting rules to challenge what people say, and I am doing that. But I, just like everybody else, I'm horrified. I, just like everybody else, I'm terrified because I want to go away to Gran Canaria or Spain or the Mediterranean, and I want to sit, in an outside cafe, and not have to wonder, is some guy going to get into a truck and drive it down the centre of the street and kill everybody?
Absolutely. And Sean said, what Sean said there a minute ago, he says, the Spanish police, they should have been. Why should the Spanish police on Spanish fucking soil have to watch some fucking bollocks from Morocco to see what he's up to?
By the way, just to give you both an update with just news coming in as it happens, and this guy that I've just mentioned, who was a suspect on the run, has now just been killed in a shootout with the police.
I hope they get at least one of them alive so they can...
I think the two of them are dead now, I think.
I meant to say to you, by the way, as well, while you were before you were talking to Sean there, it's also on CNN that a car is after running over two cops.
This is the same car. That was the same
at
van.
a checkpoint.
This is the same van. He ran through a checkpoint.
Yeah,
this
and
is
he
the same
knocked two
van.
coppers over or whatever, but
Yeah,
they shot him dead anyway.
Yeah.
To answer Dermot's question, then why the Spanish people have to spend that? It's the same reason the American people have to pay the FBI to monitor these neo-Nazi shitbags. Same reason, because they're already here and we have to keep an eye on them.
Okay, so here we all are. Okay, we're not hiding behind the hedges on this one. We're all angry. We're all terrified.
I'm fucking angry.
Absolutely.
I've been
Okay,
angry all week,
but
and this is just the capper.
Okay, but anger is not going to solve the problem. What's the answer,
It's a start.
Sean? What's
It's a start.
So,
It motivates
okay, no, I
people.
agree with you. I agree with you. I don't want to hear this shit tomorrow about let's light a few candles and, let it all be forgotten about in 3 days and something else happens.
No.
Yeah, because
No.
that doesn't work, all right?
No,
the
it
lighting the
doesn't
candles
work.
doesn't work and pretending that we love each other and holding hands, that doesn't work anymore. You know what I mean? So what's the answer?
Well, the answer is, again, education, monitoring people, and eventually the solution is going to have to come from the solution. Please. The solution is going to have to come from Muslims themselves when they get tired of the rest of the citizenry looking at them with suspicion. Eventually, it's going to have to come from them themselves. They're going to have to make a break. They're going to have to say, I'm either with my new country, with Ireland, or I'm with them.
Okay, but the problem we have there is there doesn't seem to be a specific leader. If it's Christianity, you've got the Pope up there calling the shots. Okay, when we talk about Muslims or Islam, there is nobody calling the shots.
You talked about your friend Niall, the one who said he would put his religion before his family. That's where you start. That's where you start. You cannot mollycoddle it or say that that's just the way he just takes his religion. So he's a serious man. Fuck that shit. He's a maniac. That friend of yours is our ex-friend is a maniac.
Yes, sorry, Dermot. I agree. Sorry, Dermot. Yeah.
Yeah, well, without going into specific details, can you answer what nationality is he? Can you say what country he's originally from or
Pakistan.
his family originally from?
Pakistan.
Sorry?
Pakistan.
Well, I'll tell you what I do with him, to start with him as an example. I would have him no fucking qualms, no humanitarian shit. I'd have him fucked out of this country.
Well, then you're into a situation where a lot of people, as you'd say, would be, out of the country, because there was a poll taken last year in the UK in relation to some of the attacks in Paris, and although people condoned it, over 50% of people in the UK who were members of Islam or Muslim said that they could understand why it happened.
Yeah,
in other words, they didn't condemn it.
They need to be. That is not acceptable. That is not acceptable anymore.
And there is a huge sway of Muslims in Ireland tonight watching this who, although wouldn't have the balls to do it, are probably saying, well, fair play to the guy that had the balls to do it.
And to be fair, there is a huge sway of Muslims sitting in Ireland tonight just as shocked and as angry as you are.
And there are also Muslims in Ireland who are going to be terrified that they're going to be singled out and lumped in with these motherfuckers. And they have reason to be afraid.
Okay, well, stay there, both of you, for a second. Let me go to Hassan. Hassan, you're on Classic Hits. How you doing, Hassan?
Hello, Niall. How are you?
How are you doing? I'm assuming, Hassan, because I've talked to you before and I know your feelings, you're just as angry and shocked as everybody else.
Yeah, of course. My condolences to the families of the victims in particular and to the Western democracy in general.
So what's the answer? What's the answer? It's too late, isn't it?
Well, no, I don't think it's too late. Several issues were raised tonight: fundamentalism, security, and the role of religion, and all these things. But if I may, let me address to some of these issues here. Fundamentalism, not all sorts of fundamentalism is wrong. Niall Boylan is a fundamentalist, right?
No.
Hang on, lads, please. Let Hassan finish. Sorry, go ahead, Hassan.
Well, Niall Boylan is a fundamentalist. He spends, 7 hours, 8 hours of every single day on this show, and I assume several hours preparing for the show. So he is a kind of fundamentalist. He is detached from his family, he is detached from other sorts of activities, and he is working on this project. So this is fundamentalism. If you go to India, there is Jainism. Jainism is a religion. And a fundamentalist Jain is a person who covers his mouth lest he inhales an insect and kills an insect by accident. So, and not all sorts of fundamentalism is wrong, but some sorts of it is wrong. In case of Islam, it is dangerous. It is extremely...
Let me get a quick rebuttal, please. Niall, can I ask you, Niall, have you ever made a mistake in your life?
Lots of them.
Then you're not a fundamentalist. A fundamentalist is someone who will not admit error at all, ever. And I'm sorry, that is a dangerous attitude in a free society, whether it's religious fundamentalism, racist fundamentalism. Fundamentalism itself is a fucking problem.
Sean, can I get it?
Well, hang on. I want to hear the rest of what Hassan has to say. Sorry, Hassan, go ahead. Dermot, let's just come back in a minute.
Yeah, so in my view, not all sorts of fundamentalism is going back to the foundations of something. So if we go to the foundations of Islam and we see horrible things coming from them, then this fundamentalism is dangerous, right? But as I said, Niall Boylan is a fundamentalist. All of us are fundamentalists in some sort. And
but hang on. At the end of the day, Hassan, you might say I'm a fundamentalist because I work hard, and a lot of people work hard, but I would still put my children and my family before my job.
You're watering fundamentalism down to nothing.
Yeah, I gave you a secular example.
I mean, I knew a guy, I spoke earlier on, and he was an acquaintance, not a very good friend, but a very good acquaintance. He was a very good friend of a friend of mine as such. He was from Pakistan. He was a Muslim, and I was speaking to him one night, and to be honest with you, he would have the crack as well, and we would talk about Muhammad and everything else. And I asked him one night, seriously, I said, do you put Allah before your family and your mother and father? And he said, yes. I haven't spoken to him since, and I have no intentions of speaking to him.
Listen, Niall, if that is your standard, then stick to your standard, because every single Muslim, from the most peaceful ones to the most radical ones, recite what? Allahu Akbar every single day, several times a day, right? Allahu Akbar means Allah is greater. Allah is greater than who? Allah is greater than your family. Allah is greater than your parents. Allah is greater than your religion. Allah is greater than it.
Well, if you're telling me that Muslims have that attitude, or many Muslims have that attitude, well, that clearly means that they don't care about they would willingly jump into a van and drive over a bunch of people because Allah tells them to do so, or their mosque has told them to do so.
Well, we have similar things in Christianity, right? But those Muslims who do not take their religion very seriously are the ones we call peaceful. But if you take the teachings of your religion as a Muslim, if you take the teachings very seriously, yes, you will end up killing people.
Yes, and you are a danger. Those are bad Muslims. Good Muslims are the ones who are moderate. I'm sorry, you have no fucking patience for fundamentalists.
I don't know what is good, what is bad. What I'm saying is that if you stick to the teachings of your Islam, then you become Taliban. You cannot say the Taliban are not Muslim.
Okay, well, hang on. Jeremy wants to say something. Sorry, Jeremy, go ahead.
Yeah, Hassan, are you a fully fledged Muslim?
No, he's not a Muslim anymore.
He's not a Muslim anymore.
He was a Muslim. He lives in Iran. Was a Muslim. He's not anymore. And he would be the first one to tell you that the ideology is bad.
Can I ask you this, Hassan? Does every Muslim in this world today, do they all see, what does this guy that did this in Barcelona, what part of your faith makes him different from, we'd say, any other moderate Muslim in the world? What makes him different? You all are practicing the one religion. You all believe in the one God. So what precisely makes him do? Do you have any idea why this guy did what he did?
Can
you get into his mind?
Okay, let him answer.
Yes.
Let him answer.
Okay, so let me address some issues, and then I'll get back to you this question. You know, this has what I call the puzzle of integration. Okay, this is a multifaceted problem. This integration problem has several elements that the authorities and we as people must take care and must take into serious consideration. For example, to create a sense of belonging in the newcomers, right? Yes. If I come to your place and I don't have a sense of belonging to this land, then I am an outsider, right? Yesterday, I was talking to an Irish friend, and it was about integration, as usual, right? And when we went back into and he said to me, we are all human beings. I don't consider myself Irish or Spanish or British. I am a human being, right? But when I started digging the issue a little bit more, when we went to the Vikings, and he automatically said, no, Vikings are not Irish, right? So, and Vikings lived, I don't know, 7th century, 8th century, a long time ago. And still there are people in Ireland who... No, wait, please. Still, there are people in Ireland who do not consider the Viking to be Irish, right? So, if you stick to that policy, you will take the sense of belonging away from other people.
Sorry, go ahead, Jeremy. What do you want to say?
I simply want, if you can, I've listened to you before, and you are an intelligent guy, and you speak a lot of sense. Can you, honestly, as an intelligent ex-Muslim, for want of a better word, can you put an answer as to what this guy and previous attacks across Europe, what precisely that guy, when he set out this afternoon to do what he did, what do you, in your mind, can you think, what the fuck was this guy thinking?
Okay, watch the language you got. All right, keep texting 53544. That's 53544. Hassan, I'll let you answer that after the break. Stay there, please, too, Sean. La Vanguardia, by the way, the newspaper, has just said that one of the suspected perpetrators had been killed or has been killed in a shootout with police on the outskirts of Barcelona. Just to remind you again, 13 people, and that death toll is rising. 50 people injured, 13 dead. The two suspects, now we believe one could be still on the run. They're a bit unclear at the moment, but it does say that one is definitely dead, and ISIS have claimed responsibility. I'm asking you, is it too late? Can we stop the death of innocent people all across Europe on a regular basis? It's just going too far now.
Have you got an opinion? What's on your mind? Call 1850-410-494. Niall Boylan. Real Talk Radio. Classic Hits 4FM. Niall Boylan at night is controversial and confrontational and may cause offense to some. Listener discretion is advised. 4FM.
Oh, I had so many texts coming in, by the way, and so many people are watching this live as it's happening, and I suppose that's the way the media works now. We see everything as it's happening, and we've been watching this since 4 o'clock today. Initially, reports suggested there was only one person dead. Now it seems there's suggestions now there's more than 13 people dead. If you've watched the videos, you have to be horrified by it. Innocent people on their holidays in Barcelona, sitting by a cafe, having their dinner. Children, mothers, fathers, now dead, lying on the ground, twisted, blood everywhere. Some of the text coming in says, Niall, I believe the only answer is even more cooperation between the police and the army and the undercover surveillance. This isn't enough sharing of there isn't enough sharing of information. They need more Arabic speakers, says June in Kildare. A person says, why didn't you talk about the white supremacists last week when they did the attack? We actually did, if you were listening carefully. Another person says, do we judge that American on his country's foreign reign of democratic terrorism? And we, as Irish, surely can't talk about killing innocents during our freedom troubles. The person says, Niall, it's up to the liberal.ie. Breaking news, 2 policemen have been run over by a vehicle in Barcelona in a separate incident. Okay, I'll check that out as well in a second. Somebody else mentions, of course, now we had the same problem here with the IRA. Let's be clear about this. At its height, back in the 70s, and that was in the height of the troubles in this country, the IRA had 1,800 signed-up members. 1,800 signed-up members. Think of 100,000 times that, and I believe, if I do my maths right, that's 180 million. 180 million is the suggestion of the amount of Islamic fundamentalists, or people who would never condone such a terrorist atrocity. Back to Hassan. Hassan, Dermot asked you a question very quickly, if you can give us the answer to it, and that question was, what is going through the mind of this guy sitting at the steering wheel of a van while he's driving through a crowded street of tourists, killing everybody? What's going through his mind?
Yeah, I gave you 2 answers. One is the answer that the religious apologists give us, and they try to convince us to believe that that is the case. And what they say is that these people are angry with Western foreign policy, angry with Israeli occupation in Palestine, and blah, 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 blah. Okay? This doesn't sound right to me because the Quranic verses and the sayings of Muhammad existed long time before the British Empire existed or the Israeli occupation happened. So, although the Western foreign policy should be blamed for parts of it, but this is not the entire answer. To me, that's the ideology.
So does he, while he's driving this van down this crowded street, killing women, men and children, does he believe that he's a hero, he's a martyr, he's going to Allah, that he's going to have a load of virgins waiting for him? Does he believe that?
Yes, to me that's the ideology because, again, Muhammad is the example, the pattern of conduct in Islam. And we have the sayings from him that has described those who were killed in similar fashion. and the angels are coming, they are carrying you, they are bringing you wine, they are bringing you music. So if you take those teachings seriously, yes, you believe that you are doing something heroic, and you will immediately be welcomed by angels and with red carpet and this kind of thing.
Okay, so that's why they're doing it. Okay, because they're fundamentalists and clearly radicals. Text 53544. That's 53544. We are talking about what happened in Barcelona tonight. We will give you news updates as they come in as well. Let me go to John. John, you're on Classic Hits. How you doing, John?
How you doing, Niall? First of all, to answer your first question, in terms of closing the borders, I think we can pretty much take it that the horse has bolted well and truly by now, you know, and any threat is well and truly there, you know, in hiding. Second of all, I think we would be extremely remiss not to mention America's responsibility in this. Do you know what I mean? American foreign policy, American involvement in the Middle East, you know, its quest for economic and military global dominance, the thirst for oil, gas and water, you know, all of that, you know, all of this it's just my personal opinion. I would imagine it is shared by a fairly healthy, you know, amount of other people. I think all of this has to go back to the door of the United States government.
Yes, Hassan.
Can I say something? Again, we have this example here. This gentleman is blaming the Western foreign policy for everything. I admit that there are problems with Western foreign policy. I am critical of that myself. But it is not the West American fault that Shias and Sunnis have been killing each other for the past 1,300 years. This is not American fault that the Baha'is, the gays, the women have been seriously oppressed in Islamic countries. So there are certain things that they have nothing to do with the Western foreign policy. The Muslim world should take the responsibility for those things.
Okay, well, hang on a second, because I've got a lot of people to get to, Hassan, but I do want to leave you there for balance as well.